let it fall. Makes no difference, I say, anymore. Well, I got no future and I've got no home. Can't do nothing now but roam. Well, I say, freight train, going so fast. Freight train, oh, now going so fast. Well, I don't care what train I'm on, as long as it keeps a rolling on. When my baby left my side, something deep I say inside me died. Well, I've got to keep moving on till the memories of her are gone. Well, I say, freight train, going so fast. Freight train, yeah, going so fast. Well, I don't care what train I'm on, as long as it keeps a rolling on. When I die, bury me please, way down at the end of old Chestnut Street. Well, I say poplars and on my head and feet. Tell her that I've gone to sleep. Well, I say freight train, going so fast. Freight train, going so fast. Well, I don't care what train I'm on, as long as it keeps a rolling on. Well, I say I don't care what train I'm on, as long as it keeps a rolling on. Well, the train keeps rolling on. Well, the train keeps rolling on and 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 on. My mic's not on, it's on.
World Wide Web. This is Bill Levity here at the Duncan Showroom, standing in for Longevity John. He's taking a rest day today. And we're continuing our series of, what do we call them, Dr. Ted? Isolated shows. Isolated in safety here. And this idea for this show came out of a musical show that Eugene Smith did perhaps last week with Brian Gosey. And Eugene was mentioning that people over the years have asked him to share his stories, and he's quite generous in sharing stories of his wonderful life. And so we've got him here this afternoon in rather an unusual guise. He does have a tiny instrument with him, but it's mostly about sharing Eugene's stories. I've been blessed to hang out with Gene quite a bit over the years, and more so lately since I've become his celebrity driver as well, which is a joy for me. And many times I have thought, man, if I was the biographical sort of writer, I'd certainly want to be sitting him down and getting his stories down and put into a book. This perhaps the next best thing. We've got him live here to share stories of his life, and I'm very excited. Dr. Ted is behind the board. We're all safe distances apart, and our favorite fan, Marcia, is here as well. So welcome, Eugene. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling just capital.
You're looking good, my friend. We rarely see you in a hat, but this is a good hat for you.
I got dressed up for this.
You did. You're looking good. Eternally handsome.
Got dressed up. I thought, oh, my goodness, I thought I'd wear this hat just to... because I hardly ever wear hats. People never see me in a hat. So what do you think, folks?
It
and sunglasses,
great.
too. But, so anyways, I had mentioned that when we did the show a couple weeks ago that people had been asking me, been saying over the years that I should write a book and about my ventures on the road as a musician, and I started to, and what I mentioned a couple of weeks ago is I started to, but it was I, me, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So then John phoned me up and said, well, why don't you just come down and tell the stories over this period of time that we're going through and see what happens. So here I am. And I thought, geez, where am I going to start? You know, I thought, where am I going to start? So I thought, okay, here's what I'm going to do, so that you people can get an idea of who I am a little bit and how I feel about performing for everybody for the last 60 years or so. I thought I'd start back when I was 5 years old. And when I was 5 years old, my dad, who played the mandolin and banjo and a bit of guitar. He played tenor banjo and a bit of guitar, but mostly banjo and mandolin were his instruments. So he went out at 5 years old. He went out and got me a mandolin and himself a mandolin, and he was going to teach me how to play. And I always remember him coming home with the mandolin and the two of them and sitting down, and it was the mandolins with the round hole, not the F holes, but the round holes. And I remember plunking away with the mandolin that day, and I didn't know what I was doing, but just it was fun. Anyways, the next day he went to work. The next day, and I got up and I got the mandolin out, and I decided I was going to just play around with it. So I was doing that, but I kept looking in the round hole. And it was really dark in there, but I could see some numbers or letters or whatever. I didn't know what they were. I was so inquisitive, I had to find out what they were. So I went and I got a hammer, and I turned the mandolin around and I smashed the back of it in to see what was on the inside. Well, my dad came home that day and that night, and he came home and he never hit us at all, but he was, the look on his face, I realized to this day was disappointment. And he was angry, but he was disappointed. And he never mentioned music to me again, ever, until I was around 12 or 13 years old, 14 years old. And I used to go down to the Y dances on Lakeshore in New Toronto. And I'd get up and I would dance, and I was always singing along to the songs. And one Saturday night at the Y Dance, these two guys came up to me and asked me if I'd be interested in joining their band. Well, joining a band was the furthest thing from my mind. I wasn't even interested. I just liked singing along to songs and dancing to them and listening to them. And so I said to them, well, why are you asking me? And they said, well, we come to the Y Dances every Saturday, and we see you up there dancing away and singing the songs, and you're the only person that we know that knows all the lyrics to all the songs we want to do. So I said, oh, okay. So I went home and I asked my dad if I could join this band, and he said, sure, go ahead. And then once I got into with this band, I mean, there was just two guitars and drums. It wasn't even a bass or anything like that. But anyways, he opened up and then told me about tenor guitars and different music, got me interested in jazz and rock, whatever the music of the day that he grew up with. Not so much rock, I threw that in, but mostly jazz and that's why I always wondered why. It always came to me that why I became an entertainer after doing something like that to a mandolin. The music was always there, but I think music called me. I didn't call it. It took me, and so that's one of the stories I'd like to tell you about growing up. Also, back then in public school. When I was in grade 6, I used to sing in the halls. In school, everybody knew who I was. I was the only brown-skinned kid in the school, so for years. But anyways, they always knew it was me because I'd always be singing or whistling in the halls or being sent down to the office because I was disrupting the classes. And so the music teacher asked me if I'd be interested in singing for the school assembly at Christmas with this Italian fellow boy named Tony DiCorporo. And the two of us were going to sing I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. So I said yes. I just said yes. But as we got closer and closer, we rehearsed and everything. And as we got closer and closer to the Christmas assembly, I started to get more and more nervous. And I didn't even want to be there. I was so nervous. So anyways, now here we are. We're on the stage. The teacher's over there at the piano, and Tony and I are standing beside each other. And I can hear all the kids coming in with the teachers and all sitting down and getting ready for the assembly. And so then they announced us, and the curtain goes up, and the teacher starts the intro to the song, and I was so nervous. I wanted to get out of there as quickly as possible. So what I started doing was Tony was singing the first verse, and I was singing the last verse. Because I just wanted to get out. I thought in my head, if I sang the last verse, then we could leave the stage. But no, she stopped the song and we started over again. So the music was there, and as I got older, I got into a teenage band that was a serious teenage band. It was called the Majestics. It was called J. Smith and the Majestics. And the guys in the band didn't like Eugene Smith because Eugene Smith just did not make it. Everybody back then was being called Jay or Bob or Freddie or whatever. So I said to them, okay, you guys come up with a name and we'll use that name. Well, they came up with the name J. Smith. So I was J. Smith for a number of years until I was about in my 30s, and that's when I was able to get my name back, and I'll explain that to you at another time. But it was a really good band. We were part of the Toronto scene, and we got to open up for our first concert at the teenage dance that we used to play at the Trocadero. We got to open up for John Lee Hooker. We'll open up for him. We actually backed him up for a whole week. And it was quite a treat, and it was quite interesting because we're teenagers. Here's John Lee Hooker. Well, John Lee Hooker back then used to drink, he drank a 26er before he came on stage. And then, now try and back up somebody that's had a 26er in them. It's pretty difficult, but we managed. During the break, he drank another half of a bottle of a 26er. Now we get up on stage, and it was like, holy geez, what do we do? I couldn't understand what he was singing about. We had trouble. The guys had trouble playing along. But it turned out, after a week, we got used to it, and it turned out. So that band stayed together for, 2.5 years, 3 years, and we recorded a song called Howlin' for My Baby, which was played on the radio. It was a Howlin' Wolf tune. And then one day we got a call to open up for the Dave Clark 5 at Maple Leaf Gardens. And there were 5 bands there, plus the Dave Clark 5. There was Bobby Curtola and his band. There was the band I was in, J. Smith and the Majestics, David Clayton Thomas and the Shays, Little Caesar and the Councils, and a band from Montreal called the Esquires, and then the Dave Clark 5. Well, there was 26,000 screaming kids, and I had never been witnessed that before. But before the Dave Clark 5 came out, backstage, the manager was screaming and yelling at the DJ from Chum Radio, Al Baliska, who was the MC. He was screaming and hollering, "Get that bum off the stage!" And it was Bobby Curtola's band was the last band to go on before the Dave Clark 5. And he's screaming and hollering and getting, you get that bum off the stage or I'm going to take my boys back to England. He's going on, and he's screaming, he was swearing and carrying on. And Al Baliska didn't know what to do. So I decided to go out and walk down and see what was going on. So I went out into the audience. Nobody paid any attention to me. And there was Bobby Curtola, bless his heart. I always loved Bobby. But anyways, there was Bobby Curtola with his band. And they were singing, "Things go better with Coca-Cola, things go better with Coke." And then they all had bottles of Coke on their amps and around. Bobby had one of those small bottles when they used, and they'd all take a drink and then they go, "Ah." And he was going overtime with this commercial. I guess he had a contract with Coca-Cola at the time. But that was really exciting. Many times over the years I thought about that, and then David Clayton Thomas, I always loved his singing. He used to come and sing with our band every once in a while. As soon as I heard his voice, I knew he was going to be a star one day. He was going to make it. But I should tell you, I forgot to say at the top of the show that this episode here, this program, is 14 plus.
Oh, right. 14.
14 plus, and parental guidance is needed because there may be some nudity, violence, and coarse language.
Gene, now that you're at the pause here, can I just fill you in on who's watching?
Sure, fill me in.
Okay, Bill Ironside says,
Oh.
Bill and Susan here. Colleen L, laughing out loud. Nancy David. Hi, Eugene. Carol Gordon says, "Hi, Eugene.
Hey.
I could be your ghost rider." Oh, see, you've got an offer already. There you go. Carol Gordon says, "Love the hat." Christine Cushing. "I remember the Y dances at Aberfoyle, Islington and Bloor. Lots of great bands. George Oliver taught us how to dance the Tighten Up. You remember that dance?" Colleen L says, "Bobby from my hometown." Bill Ironside. And any Stainerites? What's a Stainerite, Gene? Tuned in? Is that a certain area? Stainer?
Oh, Stainer. Yes, Stainer. Yeah.
Stainerites. People you would know. Carol Gordon says, "Oh, goody." Fran David, loving the stories. And the Butterfly Whisperer. Ooh.
Oh.
Do you know who that is?
Hey, Grant. Hey, Kim. Yeah.
Sunshine and Slater XO. So you got some old friends and people who love you listening in.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I thought I'd wear this hat tonight just because like I say, I don't ever wear hats. But if stories get a little bit lewd.
We're hoping they do, yes.
Yeah. So anyways, playing with the Majestics was a lot of fun. We, like I say, we were together for 2.5 years, and from the Majestics, I ended up going with Ronnie Hawkins for 5 years. And I always remember I was making, at the time, I've had many jobs besides music, but music was always in the background. And so I had a job working in a fiberglass company. A friend of my dad's had this small fiberglass company, and he taught me how to make things out of fiberglass. And his idea was I was going to be the foreman of his small company, and he was going to go out and get the contracts for Johnny on the Spots, they were called then. Now they're porta potties, and they were made out of fiberglass, which meant they could put more in the trucks, in the flatbed trucks, and also they were more sanitary. And I was the foreman. So anyways, this was going on, and Ronnie had an audition down in Toronto at the Lecoq Door to try and find singers for his band. He was putting another band together because Robbie Lane and the Disciples had left, and they had been with him for a while. And so anyways, he calls me up and tells me that he'd like to have me come down and audition. So I went down and auditioned. And I went back to work the next couple of days, and then the phone rang at the place where I was working, and it was Ronnie. And he says, son, he says, I want you to come down and be in my band and be one of the singers in my band. And so I said, well, Ronnie, I said, how much is the pay and what's going on? He says, well, son, he says, it's all the booze and he says, all the booze and pills and pussy that you can handle. So and $50 a week. And I said, $50 a week. I said, no, Ronnie. I said, I'm making close to $200 a week here as a foreman in a fiberglass company. So anyways, I didn't take the job right away. So about a week or so later, I was inside one of the sections of the porta potties, and I was spray painting, and I poisoned myself, lead poisoning. They didn't have the safety measures you have now. And I thought I was going to die, and so I decided that this was not the job for me, and so I phoned Ronnie up, and I said, is that job still open, Ronnie? He says, come on down, son. So I went down, and I worked with him down at the Lecoq Door for 5 years or so, and went on the road with him, and met a lot of different people, met lots of boxers. They wanted me to become a boxer. I was working out in the gym upstairs. Ronnie had a gym above the Hawk's Nest, and I used to go up there and work out and train boxing. And one day I got in the ring sparring with a boxer named Johnny Lapadula. And Joe Bagnetto was my trainer. And we got in the ring, and I didn't know what I was doing, but he was supposed to see what I had, would get me going. And he kept punching me, and my head would be going back, and I wasn't throwing any punches back. So then I got it in my head. I said, you know what? I'm tired of backing up. I said, when I come forward, I'm going to bring my right hand with me. And so I did, and he wasn't ready for it because he kept me backing up. And I brought my right hand, and I punched him on the jaw, and he fell to the canvas. I didn't knock him out or anything, but I knocked him off his feet. Well, they wanted me to be the next thing you know, Ronnie and Joe, they're talking about having me fight in the ring at Lansdowne Gym for real. And they had 2 boxers already picked out for me, and blah, they're going on. And I kept saying, Ron, I said, I am not going to become a boxer. I'm sorry. I'm not going into the ring. I don't mind getting in the ring and exercising and doing all that stuff. And they said Ronnie kept saying, well, son, it'll be good publicity, singer boxer, And I'm going, yeah, right. So anyways, I kept refusing, and then finally Joe Bagnetto, about 2 days before, one guy, he came up, some of his trainers came to see what I was doing, and they decided that their boy wasn't in shape, and so to box me, because I guess they thought I was too good or something, whatever, I don't know. But anyways, the other boxer, he decided not to do it. But before they decided not to do it, Joe took one last stab at me. And he said, son, he says, I'm going to tell you something. He says, you've got all the talent in the world, but you've only got a nickel's worth of courage. And I said to Joe, give me my nickel. Give me my nickel, Joe, because I'm not going in that ring. And that was the end of it. They never mentioned me going into the ring again ever. But one of the things that I got to meet George Chiavello, and I got to meet Ernie Terrell, and I got to meet a lot of boxers that used to come up to Ronnie's gym. And that's when I knew that I just knew I didn't want to be a boxer. It was too threatening on my life, I thought. But anyways, working with Ronnie, we used to work 6 nights a week and one matinee every Saturday afternoon. Now, we had Monday to Thursday where we would rehearse. One of the things I loved about working with Ronnie that he taught me was discipline. He taught us discipline, and we rehearsed. After the club was over, at 1 o'clock, the doors were shut because we'd be playing from 8 o'clock at night till 1 in the morning. And then after it was over, we had a half hour to get changed or get something to eat, and then we come back and we practiced and did new songs or whatever till 4 or 5 in the morning. I remember walking down Yonge Street to get on a streetcar because I was still living at home when I first joined Ronnie, and I'd be in my semi-tux or whatever, and people were getting on with their lunch pails and bags and going to work, and I'd be sleeping on the streetcar going all the way home. But it was like that, and Ronnie gave us that discipline, and a lot of really good people came from Ronnie Hawkins' School of Hard Learning, and you know who they are, the band, even David Foster, David Clayton, anybody that worked with Ronnie for any period of time, he knew how to pick talent, that's for sure. God bless him. So that's it, I'm finished.
Oh, hold on, Gene. Got a couple of gold nuggets for you out here.
Oh, okay.
While you're catching your breath.
Okay.
How's your water doing? You okay?
Yeah, well, it could have something in it, but...
After the Butterfly Whisperer, we had Bill Ironside again saying, yes, Steve and Heather Lowe. Carol Gordon, hi, Kim and Grant. Bob Nation, our local celebrity guy. Hi, Eugene, this is great. Art Southern booked Jay Smith and the Majestics through Ron Scribner Agency into Eastern Ontario. You remember
Ron Scribner,
Art?
Yep.
Art Southern?
Yeah.
Sorry, the lighting is weird here. Sheila Forgy, hello from Northern Ontario. Heard you at Le Coq d'Or with Jeff and John. Sheila Forgy, Le Coq d'Or, yes. So this fellow you might know, Jeffrey Smith.
Oh, Jeff Smith.
Hey, bro.
Bro, Jeff.
Hey, bro, he says, tell people how you wrote many of your early songs to an audience of black Angus cows at the family farm.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess they're pretty receptive, are they, the black Angus?
Yeah, they're pretty receptive.
Fairly tuneful, yeah.
Yeah, bro Jeff, that's good. Yeah, he's out there. I used to, actually I wrote a song called Mother Nature. I took my tenor banjo down there, and we had a small swamp area down on our property, and so I went down into the woods there, and I sat and I wrote Mother Nature actually on that farm. And that was an interesting excursion, time in my life. So what else would you like to know? What else can I tell you except working with Ronnie on the road? I have a couple of stories I can tell you when I was working with Ron. But it's, how can I put it? When you're on the road and you're with a bunch of guys, you think they all can cook, or somebody can cook. And there used to be a saying when I was growing up that he can't boil a pot of water without burning it. And I used to hear my parents and relatives all say that. And when I got on the road, the keyboard player comes downstairs in this band house and he puts on a pot of water and he goes back to his room. Well, the next thing you know, there's smoke and everything else. I went, oh my God, that saying is true. So, and I was the only one in the band that knew how to cook because my mom taught me how to make stuff. She was a great cook, and she taught me how to look after myself. And so I'd say to them, okay, you guys buy the food. I'll cook twice a week or 3 times a week. You buy the food, and I'll cook it. And that's what I used to do. And so not everybody on the road can cook. We're getting closer and closer to the end here, and I know that...
Can I squeeze one story out of you, Gene?
Yeah.
In regard to your travels with Ronnie, I remember you telling me about, and this is socially poignant as well, what were the years that you were traveling with him? Were the 5 years?
63, 64, 65.
Right. You told me a story once about you either being in Arkansas or in the South somewhere, and where he put you out to open the show. Do you remember this one?
Oh, geez, yes. I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you mind sharing that one?
No. We were 6 weeks in Little Rock, Arkansas, and it was just at the same time as the riots there had happened, and so anyways, we were playing in a place called El Dorado, Arkansas, and I used to drive the Rolls Royce and everything else, and we get to El Dorado, Arkansas, and it's a theater like O'Keefe Center or whatever, big soft seat theater. And there's a sea of people all out there, and there's 4 bands, a guest speaker, and Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks. So we go backstage. They got all our equipment. We go backstage, and the guest speaker's out there talking, and we're in the dressing room, the green room, whatever. And so I wanted to take a look at the stage itself and the audience. So I go out and I open up the curtain just a little bit, and I'm looking at all these faces, sea of white faces, all looking down at the stage, and they're listening to this guy talk. And so then I zeroed in on him, and I could see him, his side face view, and he's talking. He's going, "Ladies and gentlemen," he says, "I want you to all know we got to get rid of the niggers and we got to get rid of the Jews." He said, "I want y'all to join the Ku Klux Klan today." And I'm like, with the curtain, I'm running back to the dressing room. I'm totally, I'm totally out there, and I'm going, Ronnie, I am not going on stage with that guy. I am not that, that guy. I'm not going out there. That guy out there, he's talking about killing niggers and Jews. He's talking about joining the Ku Klux Klan. I said, I'm not going out on stage. Now, Ronnie says, "Son, don't worry about it. Everything's fine." I said, "Yeah, you're white and you don't have to worry. We're in Arkansas, where you're from." I said, "But I'm not going out there." So anyways, the band's nervous now, and they talk me into going on stage. So we go on stage, and the curtain's down, and there's a fellow in front of the curtain, and he starts to announce the band. He talks about Ronnie coming from Arkansas and everything, and as he's talking, the curtain is going up, slowly going up. And I'm on one side of the stage, and Ronnie's on this side of the stage. And Ronnie says to me, he says, "Son," and I turn and I look, and he says, "Do the first song, do Georgia on My Mind." And I said, "Ronnie, this is your show. You do the first song. They came here to see you." And we're going back and forth. No, son, do Georgia on My Mind. Now the curtain's up to a point now where we have to stop talking. So anyways, they start the song up, and I'm standing there. And I was just a stand-up singer in those days, so I had the microphone in my hand like this, and I'm standing there. And they start the song. Da 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 da. And here's yours truly. I was petrified. I could not move. I could hear a pin drop. I was just frozen. And the drummer went tap, tap, tap like that because he realized I was frozen, and he tap, 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 and it brought me out of it. And they played the song, and I sang the tune, and when I finished, I got a standing ovation from all the people out there in the audience. So Ronnie knew what he was doing. Ronnie knew, and I bless him for that, because he brought me out of that one for sure. And I just like to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in this evening, and I hope you're all well out there. Do I have time just to do one little song here for you?
I think you do, Gene.
Okay. This tune I'm going to do for you is on my kalimba, and I wrote this song just before all this virus happened. I wrote it, and I was going to play it at my next audience. It's so weird playing to a room with hardly anybody, but I've done it before. So anyways, I wrote this song for everybody out there, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to see you again next time. Okay. Sure feels good to see you all again. I know it's been a while, I dare not say how long it's been. Whoa, you're looking good from what I see. I hope you're thinking the same about me, 'cause we're gonna have some fun tonight. Oh, it's guaranteed. We're gonna fill the room with joy. people like you and me. Many traveled sunsets, many traveled moons. We all got here now the best way we could. Oh, I love it when you smile. Stick around with me now for a little while, 'cause we're gonna have some fun tonight. Oh, and it's guaranteed. We're gonna fill the room with joy. People like you and me. Oh, all right. Bum 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 Time goes by quickly, and before you know, I'll be saying good night, and then we'll all have to go. Well, safe journey home, if you please. Wake up in the morning with the fond memory that you had yourself some fun last night. Yeah, and it was guaranteed. You helped to fill the room with joy, with people like you and me. Oh. Stick around, have some fun. Stick around, woo, fill the room with joy. Stick around, woo, we're having fun, we are. Stick around, I'm gonna say goodnight. Stick around, oh yeah.
All right, ladies
Good night,
and
everybody.
the one
Thank
and
you.
only Eugene Smith, the incomparable. Thank you, Eugene. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
We've got another couple of comments to send us away. Carol says, I miss your apple pies. Well, stand in line, Carol. We all miss his apple pies. Eugene, not only a master entertainer, singer, songwriter, but a hell of a pie maker and a great chef. Carol says, that was great. Can't wait for more stories. And I can see this was a lovely installment, Gene, and I'm sure John and Ted and the showroom gang are going to want you to come back when you're refreshed and do this again. It's a really nice way to share your life. Art Southam says, hi, Kim and Grant. Bill says, thanks, Eugene. Great seeing you. Christine Cushing, thanks, Eugene.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Smith, you almost sing as well as me. Lol. Oh, that brotherly competition.
That's another story.
That's another story. Yes, we hope you'll come back and do this again. Gene,
Okay.
thanks again to the Duncan Showroom and Ted behind the board, Marsh, our official audience with social distancing. And hi to Long John and George at home. And as John would say, it takes donations to keep this going. The distancing concerts have been very successful. And because of you, the audience, donating, and the proceeds are shared between the artist and the Duncan Showroom, which keeps this place alive and bringing you some wonderful concerts. So thank you all for tuning in. My name is Bill Levity, and we hope to see Eugene back here again, not just with his music, but his wonderful stories. Thanks, Eugene.
Thank you very much. And Victoria, I'll talk to you later.
See you, honey.
See you, honey.
Good night from the Duncan Showroom. All right.
Well, we'll see how many views. Bum, 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 bum. I was walking down the street the other day, taking in the sights, on my way to visit you. I bumped into an old high school friend I hadn't seen in years. He wasn't looking no too good, oh no. He needed some potluck, oh potluck. Potluck, oh now to see him through alright. He needed some potluck, oh potluck. Boop, 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 ba-da-doo, boop. I like to watch the ponies run around the track every now and then. Oh, such power and grace. I put my money down on number 5 to win, place, and show. I sit back down and I pray for a little potluck, oh potluck. Potluck, go now to see me through sometime. I need a little potluck, oh potluck, alright. Boop, 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 ba-da-doo, bop. Boom, 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 ba-da-da-doo, boom, boom, ba-da-da-doo, boom. Potluck, boom, boom, diddle-da, boom, boom, ba-diddle-da, boom, boom, boom. Potluck, boom, boom, diddle-da, boom, boom, ba-diddle-da, boom, boom, boom. Potluck, boom, boom, diddle-da, boom, boom, ba-diddle-da, diddle-da, boom. Now you and me, girl, we've been together for many a year. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. When a little bit of luck comes our way, we jump for joy. Oh, you can hear us sing. Thank you for the potluck, oh potluck. Potluck, go now to see us through some time. We need a little potluck.